Hello, everyone. Okay. Ishita and Nate, are you there? Yep. We'll just wait for a couple of minutes, and after that, we'll start. Hi, Ishita. Are you there? Okay. Hi, guys. So, welcome to the session. We'll be starting in a couple of minutes. Before that, let me give you a quick round of introductions and the flow of the webinar. Meanwhile, yeah, we have Ishita. Hi, Ishita. Uh, mic is there. Are you audible?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. I can. Perfect. Uh, can you hear me now?
No, I can't.
Hello.
Let me just join back in 1 second.
Sure, please. Okay, Nati, I believe Nati has joined. Everyone, please mute yourself so that because it's going live, and we're gonna be having a lot of discussions. I'll just give you a brief overview of what this webinar is going to cover about. Uh, a lot of you are students, second year, first year, third year. We have seen your registrations. Okay, we've gone through your questions and all. Okay, so we definitely gonna be covering all those questions. A lot of you have no idea what to do, after your college. What are the other options that you have in your career? And if you want to study further to build your profile to get into, financial services, BFSI, and other industrial domain in finance or management on operations or analytics, and even marketing and sales. So, what are the trajectories gonna look like? What are the other options in terms of your upskilling is going to be there, and then what options that you may cover in India, and what options that you have in countries like Singapore, US, and all other places. Can you switch off your video, Anya? uh, Welcome. I think Ishita has joined. Just let me unmute her. Yeah, just, yep. Okay. Ishita, is Niyati able to join? Could you
Yeah,
please?
yeah, I'll just check with her. She is joining in soon. Let me just double check as well.
Okay, perfect. Okay, So yeah, as I was just talking to other people about what we're gonna be covering, it's going to be more like a journey exploration of what a person can do right now from their bachelor's, and then going ahead, what are the other opportunities in career that they have, and then what are the profile building opportunities that people usually miss out in their early stages of career. And yeah, here we have Nidhi. Hello, just give me a second. Yeah. Maybe can you?
Niyati, you are on mute right now. Can you unmute yourself?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hi, everyone.
Perfect.
Hi, Nikhil. Hi, Ishita.
Hello.
Hi.
So yeah, welcome everyone again to the webinar. So Niyati and Ishita, you guys have definitely gone and worked at multinational corporations. So a lot of students have very limited idea about these things. So what I was trying to give them a brief understanding that what this webinar is going to cover, so that they are well aware of the journey that we're going to take them through, and then what and all things that they can expect from us in terms of the guidance that we're going to help them probably during the webinar and probably after the webinar. And yeah, any your journey experiences, your profile building experiences, the do's and don'ts, the kind of myths that people have about MBAs or other management courses, as such. So we'll be covering like a holistic experience, for the students. Okay. Mm.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Maybe you can
Sure.
just keep
Sounds
yourself
great.
unmuted. I've kept a little bit of restrictions on muting and unmuting so that uh, there is no such hassle during the
Yeah.
flow of the session. Okay. Uh, let me.
On the behalf of the placement cell, I would like to give a few instructions.
Yeah.
Yep.
Uh,
Yeah.
on the behalf of the placement cell Maitri College, I would like to welcome Ms. Niyati Shah and Ms. Ishita Sehgal. Ms. Niyati Shah is the program manager at NextBillion.ai, a MBA graduate with 4.5 years of diverse experience within operations, project management, process improvement, customer experience, quality assurance, and analytics in the internet and technology sectors. Ms. Ishita Sehgal is a MBA graduate with 4+ years of diverse experience in helping business optimize their costs through portfolio optimization and duty optimization. We are very glad to have you with us. Further, I would like to tell everyone to keep your mics off for the smooth flow of the webinar.
Perfect. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate that. Webinars and mic control has been a challenge, honestly. There, if any questions that you guys have, feel free to put that in the chat option. We would take some small breaks during the webinar wherein we would take in some questions. And if those questions are being answered, it would be easier for you to, get those, questions answered for the webinar. Okay. So yeah, uh, let's start with a very basic question and understanding. Nathan Nishita, you started your career from India and then went into Sandhurst. So can you just give a 5 minutes kind of a glimpse of your journey? How did it trigger what to do in your career? How did you end up choosing a particular university or a country? What was your experience there, and what now? And what next? So
Sure.
Yeah.
anyone can take off the lead.
Sure. Thank you so much, firstly, for having us here. We're very happy to, be guest speakers and help out this, so yeah, I'll talk about my journey. I come from a business family. So I've always been interested in learning about business management and a lot of other business functions. So I decided to do my I did my commerce in my 12th grade, and then I decided I wanted to do my BBA, and I chose one of the best universities in India for BBA. At that time was Christ University. So I went to Christ University, Bangalore for my BBA, and it was a great experience, a lot of learning. In fact, for the third year, I also took an exchange program. It was more of a credit transfer program to a foreign university. and I chose Liverpool Hope University in UK. And there I got my foreign degree in business management, and I was able to transfer my credits. So the reason why I took this step was because I really wanted international exposure. I think that's a very important skill needed today anywhere you go, because you work with a lot of diverse people, different teams, different backgrounds, and that kind of exposure was important for me. More than that, also the style of learning in Liverpool was very different. The style of even grading, there were no examinations. Instead, there were more of research dissertations. There were long essays. So the format was very different, and a lot of it was less of reading from books, and it was more of understanding and looking it up from the internet, or it was more of practical. So that's also something that which I found different, in a foreign university compared to Indian university. That was one insight I had, apart from the immense international exposure I got. And then once I came back, I got an offer from Facebook. I started off as a contractor in marketing insights team. Then I moved ahead to a full-time role in the community operations team, wherein I worked on a lot of projects to support users, to help improve user experience for platforms such as Facebook as well as Instagram. And then I also moved to a third team called the Global Outsourcing team, wherein I worked on a pilot program, and I learned a little bit more about vendor management, about quality assurance, training, and stakeholder management. And then just when I finished 4 years at Facebook, I realized that while I had learned a lot, I had met some of the smartest team members and worked with some of great managers. I thought that somewhere I was reaching, I was feeling a bit stagnant. Growth was not as high as I expected at the end of 4 years. And that's when I decided that I want to do my MBA. And I chose Singapore because of its great infrastructure, the diversity, the multicultural, learning, international exposure. Apart from that, it's also a great city to be in terms of, its transportation. It's also the headquarters for most of the global companies. It's mostly the Asia Pacific headquarters, for almost all the global companies. So I saw a lot of job opportunities there, and I saw a lot of potential in Singapore. And that's why I chose that for my MBA. I chose Singapore Management University after seeing its ranking, after speaking to the alums, after also reading up on the website. I also did take help of, MBA consultant at that time, and wrote my GMAT, gave it twice because the first time I didn't get a very good score. And it was almost a 8 months journey with all the applications, my essays, recommendations, interviews. And finally, I got the offer from SMU. And my 1 year at SMU was really valuable. I made some of the best friends I could make. I expanded my network. I also got a chance to do intern with a fast-growing technology startup called Grab, which is one of the fastest growing companies in Southeast Asia. And over there, I interned in the process optimization and analytics field. And and apart from that, also the case-based learning methodology and the fast-paced learning, the credentials of the professors. Apart from that, even the diversity. So these were some of the things that really stood out, to me in my 1 year in Singapore. And after I came back, unfortunately, I graduated in the year when COVID started. So it was definitely a little bit of a tough start, in terms of the job scenario. But that's when actually I got together with my partner in crime, Ishita, and we started MBA Hacks as a pro bono MBA consulting initiative. We also wrote a lot of educational blogs. You guys should definitely follow our website, www.mbahacks.info, and we're always there to help you out if you have any MBA related queries. And so yeah, that's something that kept us busy. At the same time, we kept our job search on, we kept networking, we enrolled ourselves on different platforms, and through that, I finally a role as a program manager in a fast-growing startup, Singapore-based startup called NextBillion.ai. I joined last week, and it's going really well. I directly report to the co-founder, and it's a great learning experience for me. And I really look forward to more such awesome learning opportunities. And yeah, that's about me. Thank you.
Absolutely. I think it's a lot of exposure and experiences. We'll definitely get into some of the points when you shifted from one company to another. What was the thought process, and how did each company experiences help you to get into the current position? And then yes, in the COVID times, how did you manage to get in Next Billion, and your definitely interesting stint of MBA Hacks? How did that got started? So a lot of things I think is there, but then let's start with Ishita. So yeah, over to you.
Yeah.
Thanks, Nikhil. Thanks, Niyati, also. Very good, story about your journey. Let me also share mine now. So I come from a family of mostly engineers, and my mom especially is a very big inspiration for me. In her time, she did civil engineering, which is anyways a very predominantly male-driven field. So very inspired by her, and I took science in my 11th class and onwards. After that, I decided to do engineering. At that point in time, I was a little apprehensive about getting. Okay. So at that point in time, I was a little apprehensive about getting into computer science, even though that field was a lot in demand. I wanted to do something where I can actually get the touch and feel of the things that I'm working with. And hence, mechanical engineering made the most sense for me. I pursued my mechanical engineering from Indira Gandhi Institute of Technology, a very good reputed college, government college in Delhi. And the 4 years that I spent there were very I grew a lot in those 4 years, because in addition to the academics, I also focused a lot on leadership activities. Like I was the head of the sponsorship. I was the sponsorship head for my college fest. I led 2 teams wherein we designed and fabricated all-terrain vehicles and super mileage vehicles. I also established the ASME student section in my college, and a lot of other such activities. So a very nice exposure that I got. And this is when I was a very introvert kid back in school. So when I transitioned into taking all these leadership positions, it really helped me a lot at that time. During campus placements, I was very fortunate to be selected by General Electric. Of course, in addition to the marks that I had in my academics, they also looked at these other activities that I did in college, as they're a signal of the leadership potential that is also very important for companies. And hence my CV was shortlisted. I performed well in interviews and eventually got through. I spent the next 4 years in General Electric, specifically in the aviation business, and I met very nice people there. And GE is a engineering company, and a very reputed one at that. So the kind of work that we had, the kind of people that I interacted with, most of the other recruits were from IITs, the top engineering colleges in India. So very challenging environment to work in, but that is what made it very exciting. So initially it was a little tough for me, but eventually by the end of 4 years, I was able to file 2 patents, and I got Young Engineers Award also in my company, which was a very big recognition given to only top 1% of employees in the company. So very fulfilling career at GE. But by the end of 4 years, as Niyati also mentioned, I faced something similar. I understood that if I had to grow at a faster pace, I needed to do an MBA. The other reason was that because I was coming from engineering, I did not have a lot of business acumen. My field within engineering was product cost optimization. So how we can make the jet engines cost lesser. I did it from an engineering perspective, but I used to interact with manufacturing engineers, sourcing people from sourcing, manufacturing, and during that process, I understood that there were a lot of challenges that they faced on the ground, and it was very difficult for me to understand and appreciate their challenges, and for that an end-to-end business understanding is needed. It was then that I decided to do my MBA, and the next question was, where should I do my MBA from? I was open to doing it from India as well as abroad, but I felt that I lacked international work experience. I had also not traveled to a lot of countries abroad by that point in my career, and I felt that if I do my MBA from abroad, it will give me a lot of international exposure. In the long term, I also wanted to settle abroad, and I wanted to take up a leadership position in Southeast Asia. So I started exploring colleges there. I also briefly looked at US and Europe. However, financially and also in terms of time commitment, US did not seem feasible, and even Europe, because there are language barriers in Europe. Also, even though the course is lesser, 1 year of course compared to 2 years that you have in US, but still it's almost double the cost that you have in Southeast Asia. The colleges in Asia are pretty similar in terms of costs, especially if you compare ISB with other top B schools. So it's pretty similar, and all of it made sense. I also talked to alums, I talked to consultants, I talked to professors as well, to make sure that Singapore Management University was the right choice for me. And after all this deliberation, I went ahead, applied, and very fortunately, I was able to get through, and then started my MBA journey for the next 1 year. I think it was one of the best years of my life. I met a lot of great people, made lifelong friends, and I studied from professors who are so awesome. I mean, they used to teach at universities like Howard and Stanford, and that quality of teaching, the quality of class discussions that we had because of our professors, all of that is something that I couldn't have got anywhere else. And that is why I'm very thankful for this MBA experience, the whole journey. During my MBA, I also did a exchange program with IE Business School, which is another great business school in Spain, and I was able to network even in that region, in addition to Singapore. I did get a job after completing my MBA in Singapore, but because of coronavirus, I wanted to come back, and there's more certainty when you're with your family in your own country in this unprecedented times, and that's when I decided to move back. So I'm with my parents currently, and so we graduated in January. And for the next 9 months, now both Niyati and me have got jobs. So I am currently hired by Gartner in as a senior specialist in the supply chain division, and pretty exciting role. It is something that I always wanted to do. I overall, if you see, I did my mechanical engineering. I did cost optimization in General Electric. Then I interned with Johnson and Johnson in supply chain strategy and analytics, and now I'm working with Gartner in the supply chain research. So it's a very nice streamlined flow of how I plan my career, and that's how I'm step by step I'm progressing towards my goals. It of course it takes time, but each step matters. Also wanted to highlight that during these last 9 months, when both Niyati and me were looking for jobs, it was becoming a little stressful for us because if you come back from abroad and you want to do your future, you want to get employed in India, anyways, people do take some time because you have to apply through offline channels, not like campus placement, the way MBA graduates are generally absorbed in the Indian market. So it anyways takes time. But for us, there was also this coronavirus and the impact of the pandemic, a lot of people losing their jobs, which was adding to more competition for every new opening. So within that environment, me and Niyati both discussed that what is something that we have that we can share with others and benefit people around us. So that's how we started with MBA Hacks Initiative. As Niyati mentioned, please check out our website, www.mbahacks.info. We have written about 10 plus articles, which will be very informative for you. You can also schedule mentoring sessions with any of us, both of us, we take it together, and we'll be happy to answer your personalized queries as well regarding foreign education.
Absolutely. I think, yes, guys, do check out MBA Hacks. These guys have really pulled up a lot of things. And yeah, if they are available, that's fantastic. So the main question here is, students opting, pretty much majority of the students that we saw register as second year and third year. Okay. So when do they get to plan, for their future career? Let's say if they have something in mind, okay, MBA could be one of the things. One of the misled facts that I usually see, any first year or second year person usually thinks MBA is the only choice in their career. So how have you guys dealt, why an MBA, why not an MS, or why MBA after 2 to 3 years of your work ex? Why did it matter then? Why not earlier as a fresher MBA, which is pretty much of a regular trend in India? And then why abroad?
Okay. Okay, great question. So just to sum up what your question means is like, why not do a MBA with no experience? Is that what you're saying? Or
So when to do an MBA? What's the trigger point when you understand that MBA is the solution for your career options,
sure,
or else if not
sure.
an MBA at an early career stage, what are the other career options a person can look forward to for their upskilling? And what made you choose your? I think you guys have mentioned that there was a trigger point when you
Yeah,
see a career stagnancy. So
yeah,
how does the international MBA ADCOM committee looks at a fresher versus an experienced working professional?
yeah. See, so the thing is, a lot of MBA universities, if I say leaving probably ISB, but most of the other universities like say Nasimanji or SP Jain, Symbiosis, all of these universities actually do not require work experience. Their criteria is generally 0 to 2 years of experience. So which means they also take freshers. So I would say it really depends on one's career plan. The trigger point for me was that I was not growing enough. Uh, the trigger point for international MBA was that when I was first looking at Indian universities, in fact, I did give a few Indian university entrance exams for my MBA. I realized that I had 4 years of experience while their criteria was just 0 to 2 years of experience. So at that point of time, I thought it was more suitable for me to apply somewhere abroad. I'll meet like-minded people, or I'll meet even more experienced people, my peers, and I'll meet more diverse people, and I'll get to learn a lot from them. At the same time, be able to contribute my learnings from my professional experience as well in the class. But yes, there are a lot of people who plan on doing MBA immediately after finishing their bachelor's. And for that, definitely Indian universities are a great choice. If you're looking at an abroad university, it's always nice to have at least, I would say, 3 to 4 years of experience. The more experience, the better. And definitely the more quality experience, the even better. Because that's definitely something that foreign universities look at. For example, SMU, Singapore, where Ishita and I went, the work experience average was 4 to 7 years. And we were still, both of us were still on the lower end, but we performed well in our essays, in our interviews. We had our managers who gave us great recommendations. And we also had good GMAT scores. So there's always a holistic review to your MBA application. If you have a lower work experience, if you're able to still highlight some of the key achievements, at the same time, present the other highlights of your profile, like the things that I just mentioned, definitely you stand a good chance for MBA. And when it comes to Indian MBAs, definitely it's something you should. It's not something you should neglect just because they don't have work experience requirements. Because Indian universities have a different kind of a pro. Like if you look at the pros and cons, Indian universities like ISB, IIMs, they have placements. They do have campus placements. and you will meet like-minded people, because people will still have the same amount of experience as you do. At the same time, yeah, I think that's all I had. And Ishita, would you like to add anything else?
Yeah, sure. One thing that I can tell all of you is that it helps if you have a long-term goal. You can see, you can imagine where you would like to work, suppose 5 years down the line, or 10 years down the line. If the answer is India, okay, and always you want to remain in India only, then our recommendation would be that Indian universities do make a lot of sense, because the pros are a lot, right? You are able to get jobs easily. If you wait for some years before doing your MBA, then you actually lose out in terms of the competition, because there will be peers who have done MBA before you, and then they would be entering the post MBA job market before you. So if your long term goal is to always be in India, in that case, do the MBA as soon as you can after you complete your graduation. That being said, uh, if your long term goal is to settle abroad, then you can see which country you want to get into. In that case, your strategy should be a little different. It can be US, Europe, Asia, anywhere. You can select your target universities and then see how you can build your profile to cater to those universities. There are a lot of advantages if you study abroad. You open doors to job market in that foreign country, which is very difficult if you study in India throughout your life. It's very difficult. On an average, not many people are able to, get a job in Singapore, for example, if they have never studied in Singapore. There are some internal company transfers that happen, but the number is very low, so we cannot bank upon that, right? Uh, yeah, just a moment. Yeah, Niyati, you can. Do you want to add any other thing?
Yeah, sure. So I think we've pretty much covered, all the criteria that really matter when it comes to applications in an Indian MBA university or abroad MBA university.
Okay.
When it comes to Indian MBA, it's definitely very competitive also, because for example, your CAT score, different universities have different CAT score requirements. So it's also very competitive, and that is also a major criteria to look at. And that's something you should definitely, check out. You should go to the university's website, the page, and understand these details, understand the cutoffs they have, understand the deadlines. It's always advisable to apply early, because India is, I mean, we all know that India is extremely populated. There's going to be a lot of competition always.
Okay.
So that's something when you're looking at that. Yeah, when it comes to abroad university, so just a quick thing. Nikhil, are we answering questions right now or towards the end?
No. We are not answering questions right now. We'll take all the questions in the end only.
Okay, sure. So, yeah, what?
Okay. So,
Yeah.
I want to understand, because a lot of students are having here 15 years of experience. So, one of you can basically highlight how to build, because 15 years of work experience, getting an MBA is way difficult than at least with 16 years of work experience applying for an MBA. Okay. So the base question which I have seen from someone is like, how to build a profile when you are in the 3 years of your bachelor's stream, and what are the kind of internships one can look for, basically the crux of the profile building part, because it may start for a very learned candidate from first year itself to regular candidates starting in the pre-final year, which could be second year for a 3 years course, or for a third year for a 4 year course. So what are, because you guys have a very structured work experiences before even you landed up for your MBA. So how did you guys plan, and what should be your advice to the people who wants to go for a same field That's the number one thing. Same field, internship experiences, field change, internship experiences.
So Nikhil, I think I'll take that question. So I think the first question that everyone needs to ask themselves is, again, I would repeat, where do you see yourself in your post MBA career? 5 years down the line, for example. If you see yourself in consulting, for example, then it makes the most sense for you to get into a very analytical field, a consulting internship, for example, even before you. Like even during your graduation, it makes a lot of sense if you can do that, because suppose you're able to land an internship in BCG, and then McKinsey will be very okay to hire you later, because they see that you have gone through the recruitment process of BCG and Bain, for example, and that brand is there on your resume. So you have gone through the process of interviewing with them and you passed with flying colors. That is why you were able to do the job. If you're able to build a very good network in those companies and you're able to get recommendations from managers from those companies, it will be very, very useful for your career. This is just an example from consulting. For me, because I wanted to get into supply chain, I did my mechanical engineering, and then I did my cost optimization, wherein I worked with people from other parts of the supply chain, and then eventually did my supply chain internship, supply chain strategy and analytics internship in Johnson and Johnson before landing into my career at Gartner. With that being said, I would also like to say that at this age, everyone is very young, and instead of focusing so much on dedicating yourself to one exact path, this is also the age wherein people should explore and experiment 10 different things to actually see where their interest lies. Right? If you don't do 3 4 internships, then you won't know whether you'll actually like a consulting job or not, for example. I've seen many students who just get into consulting because it's a very reputed thing, but when they actually do the job, they leave within 1 year of joining, because they're not able to handle the pressure. So in that case, doing such internships when you are in your undergraduate period, it really helps a lot to form an opinion about what sort of things you like and dislike. So yeah, explore and experiment, take it easy, there's a lot of time, and once you are sure what you want to do, then dedicate yourself to it very fully and with full heart, because what matters in the end is how much you enjoy the work that you do. Money, success, fame, all of that will automatically come if you're enjoying what you do, and this is the age wherein you can do different things to understand what you'll enjoy doing the most. So make use of this time for that.
Okay, interesting. So I think one of the crux advice is, plan and understand what do you want to do with your MBA. Then you will be able to make justice with your courses. As I'm again saying, MBA is not the only resort for you to get into management or finance. There are multiple other fields, MIM, MIF, MSBA, and there are niche management courses also. It all depends which course can gonna help you to get to your career, journey, or your career destination. So yeah, coming from that, you guys have certain brands associated with your work experiences, right? Uh, as a background, a lot of students think, okay, branded internships are only for IIT guys, or IIM guys, and all those things. There are a lot of misconceptions on those notes. Definitely, there have been certain trends which kind of hinders a student's motivation. What was your understanding to get to get internships with, let's say, Johnson, to get to work with Johnson, as of a note, to, or else to work with, let's say, right now, Gartner? So what are the things that companies had looked into your profile, and how do one person basically kind of builds their profile for such kind of work experiences?
Um, so I got into General Electric, which was the first brand. That happened by chance because they came for campus placement in my campus and I was able to get through the interviews. That happened by chance. But because I spent 4 years in that company, uh, people develop a certain working style by working for such large MNCs. And later, Johnson & Johnson had confidence in me because they had seen that I had worked in GE for 4 years, and similar happened with Gartner. So it really depends. Now, this is very established, large MNCs. Those are the kind of brands that I have. But then there's another kind of career path that people can have. These days, a lot of exciting work is happening in startups. So right now, like Niyati, she worked with Facebook, which is another nice brand, but it's a new company, it's a tech company. After that, she did Grab, and now she's in Next Billion. So Niyati, you can take, you can share your example on how you targeted each of these brands and why they showed confidence in your profile.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, I think great question. A lot of people difficult to get into these branded companies. That's one myth. There's also another myth that having brands on your resume is the only thing that matters. That's also myth. So I would just like to bust these myths. Firstly, it's not challenging to get into these companies. All you need is as long as you have a good network. Most of the times what happens is the strong reference. So that's one thing. Secondly, as long as you're able to justify, you look at the JD, you understand, you see you have the skills, as long as you're able to justify and perform really well in your interviews. That's all it is. So yes, that's what I would say. Interview performance and strong network, strong referrals. So that's all you need to actually get into a good brand. I'm not saying that if you try through a more traditional way, or if you try to using a regular way through one of the job portals, it's tougher, but it's definitely much easier with a referral. So I got through Facebook, which is definitely one of the biggest digital giants and a very well-known brand. I got that through a referral, but that referral only got me an interview opportunity. What happened after that was just my performance. I was asked a lot of critical thinking questions, a lot of problem solving questions. Behavioral questions are very and also situational based questions. These are questions that every brand definitely tests you on, and I would say that this is a very important thing to note down in your life. What I would really recommend all of you to just take a piece of paper, like just take a pen and a paper, and write down these kind of questions, which will always help you. You should know how to answer these. Be it something as simple as how do you solve a conflict, or if you did not agree with your manager's decision, what will you do next? Something as simple as that. These questions are something that every company, be it GE or Gartner, Facebook, Grab, Amazon, Google, all of them will at one point of time definitely test you on. So so regarding Facebook, that's how I got it. Regarding Grab, I had a Facebook brand on my resume. So that's definitely something that stood out on my profile when I interviewed for the internship at Grab. And I was again able to talk about my experiences, talk about my skills. And another point to remember is that when you shift from one skill to one company to the other, even if the role is not exactly what you did earlier, you should always highlight and stress on the transferable skills. So for example, if stakeholder management was a transferable skill, and that's something I know is going to be required in my next role, I will speak about that. I will, highlight examples where I have used that. That's what I would talk about. And similarly, when it comes to, so yeah, these were the two brands I had. But right now, my current work is with a brand new startup, and that's something very new for me. The coincidence is that for this role, they were really looking at somebody who had about 4 to 5 years of experience in a large product or tech company. So again, I would say that my brand really helped me. But at the same time, in my interviews, I was able to justify why I want to work in a startup, because you will always get questions where the interviewers will really try to challenge you. They will really try to put you outside of your comfort zone. Like they will ask you questions such as what if this program you're working on just has to shut down for some reason? What will you do next? So you need to really not be afraid. You need to answer firmly, sincerely. Do not beat around the bush. Be honest, and just highlight your skills, your experience, what you can bring to the table, what you've learned, and why is this company so inspiring to you. And yeah, I think at the end of the day, these are the things that matter. Apart from the regular things such as your academic achievements, your scores, GPA, which college you studied in, apart from all of that, all these things do matter a lot, when it comes to getting into a good brand or a good startup. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think getting into a good plan definitely gives you a boost to your resume, but then the kind of work experience, the kind of problem solving skills that you're going to develop, that's going to, put a stepping stone for you to get into a good company, because ultimately your skills going to matter in the end. Referrals, definitely, I think 71% of the jobs till date on LinkedIn goes via referral. So you need to build a strong brand presence on LinkedIn. A couple of tips could be given during the session: how to not ask for a referral and how to ask for a referral. So definitely there are certain hygiene comments on that. But let's come to the current scenario. Okay, what are the opportunities and the current trends in the market that you see? Both of you have joined a new startup and a big brand. How was your current experience as a MBA grad, and going ahead down the lane, couple of years? How do you see the market shift and trending? Because Gartner definitely does a lot of review of the market. I would definitely ask Ishita to start it off from there.
Yeah, so you're asking about the job market right now?
Yeah, the job market, the B school, both, because how the admissions are getting affected as of now, and then how the because you guys graduated in the most affected time. You guys would be having a different set of problems to solve apart from the regular MBA graduates who have a very set structure of problems. So it's in a way it's a very a bigger opportunity to stand up to help the companies grow in a different environment. So, what are you guys feeling or facing or seeing? If you would like to share a note on that.
Yeah. Um, so just to clarify, I think you want me to answer because we graduated in this time. What is the sort of market scenario that we saw? And going forward, how is it going to be for MBA graduates for the next 1 to 2 years and the job market in general, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So we graduated in January, and that time in Singapore, coronavirus had already started. From March, we had lockdowns in India as well. That time, anyways, if you have to land a job in any foreign country, it's a little challenging because those countries, the governments always prefer that their locals get employed first, and then the second preference is given to outsiders. However, that being said, if you are skilled, if you're confident, if you do good in interviews, most of the people who want to settle abroad are able to settle abroad because of their merit. And it just becomes a little more challenging if there is recession and the economy is going in a downward spiral. So that's what happened exactly when we graduated. In India, we have a lot of jobs. Singapore, of course, it's a very smaller country. So the number of jobs and the number of people who graduate every year are by and large equal, and everyone who wants to settle is able to eventually settle. This year it was a little different. Some of our batchmates have still not been able to find jobs. So I wouldn't say that it's very good right now. People are struggling. And the struggle is very real. Even me and Niyati had to struggle for 9 months before we were able to get our jobs. But then we came back to India. I wanted to be with my family in this time, and Niyati always wanted to work in India after her MBA anyway. So it was a more natural choice for her. In India, what we observed is that if you have to, I think the brand value that we were discussing, So we have so many MBA colleges in India. You see, there are so many IIMs. Then there are tier 2 colleges like SPJ, Narsi Monji, NITI, and a lot of other colleges, FMS, IIFT. So a lot of students graduate every year, and there is heavy competition. And you know, if so, suppose a guy from ISB, he becomes a manager in 2 3 years, and then he will recruit his juniors, and the same cycle keeps on continuing. So it becomes a little difficult for outsiders to find their way in this scenario. So that were the kind of challenges that we faced. But that being said, we were able to navigate those challenges because we learned how the market works. um, One thing is that job portals, most of the time when I personally applied through job portals like Naukri.com, Monster.com, in this environment, it did not help me at all. Like, I did not even get one interview call when I applied through these portals. And it was very surprising and strange because I had never heard that something like this can also happen, especially to me, because I had always been good in academics, always been working with nice companies, and being doing good in those companies as well. But I did not get a single interview call through any of those portals. What worked for me was to become friends and network with people from all these colleges through LinkedIn, using LinkedIn very actively, getting referrals, talking to hiring managers about the kind of opportunities that exist, being very alert and aware as and when new opportunities are coming up, and very quickly approaching the right companies at the right time, because there's so much competition that you have to be at the right place at the right time if you have to nail it. Otherwise someone else will do it before you. So these are the some of the things that we learned. And if you keep doing that for a lot of time and you're only getting rejections, then it does become a little demotivating as well. And that is why I think it's very important for us to engage in something constructive while we are doing our job search, and if it's taking so long. Because during your interviews, at least I was also asked by Gartner that it has been so long that you have been out of a regular job. You last completed your internship in November last year, and your full-time job was in 2018 before my MBA started. So what have you been doing all this while? So I had a very good answer to this, because me and Niyati launched a startup called MBA Hacks. We wrote so many articles, we mentored so many students, we have so many testimonials on our websites. Apart from that, I also wrote 3 articles on supply chain, which are there on my LinkedIn profile. So that is another thing that I did. Then the third thing that I did was I joined covidindia.org as a volunteer, and I helped in supplying all the medical equipment, N95 masks, PPE kits, to the hospitals through a demand supply matching portal on their website. I did it long back when the lockdown was imposed around March. That time there was a scarcity of all these components in hospitals. And at that point in time, I enrolled in this initiative because I thought with my supply chain background, I'll be able to, give back to society in this way. And that time my intention was not that all of this will help me in my job search. I actually wanted to genuinely give back to society, give back to students, because me and Niyati have been through this MBA journey. We wanted to share our knowledge with other students, and we did that without expecting anything in return. And it took us 9 months, and finally when all of this was asked in the interview, I was able to give such a nice answer, and then they were so impressed because they never expected anyone to actually engage in so many constructive activities. Because normally people, what do people do? Normally they either upskill through Coursera, or most of the people are actually doing upskilling through Coursera or Udemy or things like that. And then in normal times, if you do all this, it becomes a differentiating factor. But right now, because everyone is doing this, it does not add that much value to your profile. So rather think of more innovative ways, like, can you write a book? Can you do freelance work? If you want to get into marketing, can you just take up freelance marketing work, build a portfolio, show it in your interviews? If you have to do a data analytics job, can you actually build a portfolio and then show your real-time results of how you're actually going to deliver impact? I think these are some of the things that I learned. Another thing that I learned is that interviews have changed a lot. Like, my campus placement interview in GE was a maths and science sort of a test, followed by one technical interview and one HR interview. But in all the other interviews that I had post MBA, all of them involved case case solving. So whatever job they want you to do, and I'm not talking about consulting, I'm talking about regular jobs in supply chain, cost optimization, maybe product management, even key account management, or any other job, for example, that as well, all of them involve case solving. So it's very good if you are able to develop your analytical problem solving skills as well, because cases used to only come in consulting jobs earlier, but now they've become very common for any job. And the recruiters actually want to see that you will be able to deliver whatever the role requirement is, and they ensure it during the long interview phase as well. One of our friends had to give 15 interviews. Right, Niyati? He gave 15 interviews before he landed a job in Singapore. It took him 6 months, 15 interviews, and he landed a job as a partner in one of the startup companies. So these days, the process has also become very stringent, but it takes focus, it takes a lot of preparation and dedication, a lot of introspection. And then it's not difficult. You just have to be smart, and anyone can do it. If both of us can do it, then anyone can do it. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that's a spirit, the way the job market is evolving. Just upskilling or just certifications of having those under the certifications may not work. Just a quick piece of advice, I think, for other students. Try to bring in your skills to actions. There are a lot of SMEs, MSMEs which are struggling in this particular time. Help them with their business. What you may gain is one hell of a real life experience of your skill, and if you kind of can benefit them, you may get a job or some kind of incentives in return, and this would be kind of a life changing experience for you. A lot of students usually nowadays in Bombay are doing it, and they kind of are getting great results for the SMEs or MSMEs, and this kind of experience probably going to help you in your interviews also, and probably with your MBA interviews also, like what did you actually do with whatever you have learned in your journey. So yeah, over to you, Neti, if you have any suitable points to add on this.
Yeah, sure. So we are discussing more on
The
the job
opportunities
market,
and
the current
yeah.
job trends. Yeah. So yeah, currently, see, we are all going through a pandemic, and it's not just India; it's global impact. So a couple of tips would be that I mean, the way things are changing, a lot of companies, and this is actually a good aspect. It's a positive aspect that came out of this very unfortunate pandemic. That a lot of new work from home and remote that's something that you should definitely make use of. Doesn't matter which part of the world you're in. If it's a remote role, and if you're skilled in, you can get it, you can work. All you need is your laptop. All you need is definitely your skills, your laptop, and a Wi-Fi internet connection. So and in fact, if you go on LinkedIn and if you look at search, there's also an option where you can look at remote, where you can look at where you can filter by remote opportunities. So that's one tip I would give you, and you should definitely make use of it. Be ready to justify your gap either through volunteer work or through certifications, which are very common. But definitely, if you have a certification that's very relevant, for example, product management. So if you have a PMP certification, or a Scrum or something like that, it's very relevant, as long as, or something like a digital marketing certification, if that's the field you want to get into, that really matters. So yeah, certifications, volunteer, or something creative, something of your own, maybe start a blog, or because a lot of, or even if you're a social media influencer, a blogger, or anything, or if you're starting any initiative of yours, something that's creative, something that you learned, and something that actually mattered, and using that you could actually contribute to your personal learning, and also in a way kind of give back or help out or support other people. So like these are some this is another thing. And thirdly, even if you do get a job right now, most probably it's going to be work from home. So that's also another trend, I would say. For some people it may be challenging. For us, for example, both me and Ishita, we are starting our roles working from home. It's not like we were in this company for a long time, and then suddenly it's shifted to a work from home model. It started this way. So don't get too overwhelmed, because you may not have met most of your teammates physically. So don't think that way. Take out time, understand, different POCs, understand the different roles, your team members, speak to your manager, get more comfortable, and don't be afraid to reach out to anybody, for any question you have. No question is a silly question. It's fine. As long as it's relevant, as long as it's valid, ask. Set up calls, set up one-on-ones with your manager or with your teammates, understand what they're doing, because it's a sensitive time, and they are also very sensitive. And especially if you're starting to on a work from home base, it can get a bit overwhelming, because not many people are used to working in this format, in your house, in a room. A lot of people don't even have like a study table, so it's also inconvenient for so many people, and they're still getting used to this model. Also keeping in mind the other personal priorities or errands, or when it comes to married people with children, they have a lot of other personal priorities also, that work that take place simultaneously as and when they're working from home. So that's also another trend. Apart from that, I think everything's been covered. In terms of job search, referrals are something that are really working right now. uh, Enroll yourself on all the job platforms, create job alerts, so at least you know that this company is hiring there. And then you can apply through the platform. But after that, simultaneously do see if you can open your LinkedIn network and find somebody from that organization. So you can, if not even a referral, if you can at least understand more about that role, understand how their process was, and take any tips or help in terms of how your application, when you apply to that company, will help you. So these are some of the things that you can do. Also focus on the industries and companies that are booming right now. For example, healthcare is booming, pharmaceutical is booming. And then there are a lot of other companies that are pretty unaffected, because such as, I would say, for example, all the companies that operate purely like online, and don't have a lot of physical infrastructure, or anything. Say, for example, there are a lot of skills also that are in quite in high demand. For example, coding, or I would say digital marketing. So yeah, just understand what skills you have, what skills you need to get the desired job. Understand which industries are there, which companies are there. Try to get referrals, try to get your known contacts. I'm happy to help any of you girls, get refer you in any of my past organizations, or connect you with people, because I have a wide variety of network from Google, Amazon, Uber, Facebook, Grab. And I know I do have a lot of contacts in a lot of other startups as well. So I'm very happy to help. Feel free to add me on my LinkedIn, Niyati Shah. That's how you can find me, Niyati Shah. And I'm more than happy to help you girls.
Absolutely. So I think that's a very great support. So guys, just go to LinkedIn, find out these two rock stars out there on LinkedIn, and yeah, build your connections. Uh, so one of the very important questions that we somehow missed was, very small nitty-gritties about MBA is the exams. Did you guys opt for any kind of exams? What was your exam preparation looked like? And then after exams, like, is it necessary also to give exams for MBAs nowadays? Like, how do someone plan for what kind of exams they're gonna prepare if they were gonna go for their MBA on a global scale?
Yeah. So both Niyati and me have given GMAT, and it did take us some time to prepare for the GMAT. That being said, there is another exam called GRE, which is also being considered by B schools these days. The third type of exam that people can have is specific to their school. So SMU has one exam that they conduct to enroll students. People can choose to give that as well. I know many other B schools do that. But if you want to keep your options open, I think GMAT we would recommend is still the most well-known exam that you can give, and with that you can apply to any B school because all the B schools accept it. However, if you are more comfortable in any other exam format, or you already have books of GRE preparation, or you are able to score better in GRE mocks over GMAT mocks, then it makes sense to maybe look at that option as well, with GMAT being the first.
Okay.
How
And
our
about
preparation was like. So GMAT is typically a long exam. It takes a lot of discipline to be able to sit for about 4 hours and then meticulously concentrate and give that exam. There are sections like verbal and quant predominantly. Other reasoning as well, writing as well, but majorly verbal and quant is what is considered. If you compare it to CAT, which is there for Indian B schools. One of the major differences that GMAT is very adaptive. So if you give a right answer, the next question that they'll ask you will be of a higher difficulty, and you will get higher marks if you answer it. So GMAT is very adaptive. Depends on how you are doing. You can get very good scores if you continue to do well. So it does take some time. You can take some mocks to give yourself an understanding of what the exam pattern is like. You can see first, even before getting into the exam, it's very important to select your B school and see the class profile. What are the typical marks that people require to get into that college? And specifically for people with your profile, what are the scores that you need to target? With that understanding, then give your first mock and then see how much you are scoring. If you're scoring almost close to what you are anyways targeting, then don't spend too much time preparing for GMAT. Just do like 15 days, 2 weeks, 3 weeks preparation, give it off, and then focus on rest of the application, which is also a very big aspect when it comes to getting an admission into B school. GMAT is just one of the pre-qualifiers. Like, B schools will not look at your profile if your scores are very bad. If your scores are good, then they'll look at the rest of your profile and then give you a chance. If they're very good, then they might give you a scholarship as well. So it really depends from school to school. If your scores are definitely not as much as your target scores in your first attempt, which is very likely to be the case for most of the people like us, in that case, you can actually take help of coaching institutes, and you can develop a plan of how much time you need to give to improve your target scores. These days, there are very nice diagnostic exams which tell you which areas you are specifically weak in within quant and verbal, like whether sentence correction is what you need to improve upon more versus critical reasoning or reading comprehension. Within that also with specific topic. So with that level of analytics into all these exams these days, you are able to very nicely know your weakness areas, so you can revise those concepts and improve further. With this understanding, you should just be disciplined. That is the only thing that is required, and continue to prepare well, focus, give more mocks, and eventually you will definitely reach your target scores. And GMAT is not a tough exam. It can be cleared. Many people do it. So everyone can do it, just that it takes discipline and hard work. And after that, rest of the application matters more. So that is the insight that I would like to give here.
I would just like to add on to Ishita that it's a very difficult exam that requires, more than, it's not about mugging up, or it's not about, memorizing things. That's not what it's going to test you on. It's management students take, right? It's for all the future managers, future leaders. So it's going to test you on your reasoning skills, on your problem solving, on your critical thinking, and analytical reasoning skills. So be very focused when you're planning to take, be it your GMAT, GRE, or even CAT, because CAT is the exam which students in India, for Indian colleges, that's what they take. So be very focused be disciplined, set aside 2 to 3 hours a day or even more based on how and focus. What I would say, as the old saying goes, practice makes a man perfect. That's what it is. The more you practice, the more you'll get better at this exam. Take a lot of mock tests. When you're taking your mock test, make sure that you're timing it. Make sure that you're sincere and you're not referring to any books, or you're not having any snack or anything in between. Make sure you're positioning, the way you're sitting, it's exactly simulating the environment of a real test environment. So center-like environment. So make sure that's something that keep in mind. And I would just like to add about my personal experience. The first time I did my GMAT, I didn't get a very good score. In fact, it was not enough for me to even get into even a tier 2 university. So forget a big branded, forget a big brand or a big tier 1 college. So I did get a bit disheartened. It was because, and then I later realized that I wasn't learning it the right way. I was focusing too much on my mock tests and focusing less on practice. So what I did was instead of keeping a very rigid timeline, I just focused on practicing. And I had to unlearn a lot of things that, I used to just assume, or I used to just take a few shortcuts. I unlearned all of that. I learned again, practiced a lot, exercised a lot of discipline when it came to my mock tests. And then one fine day when I gave my test, my overall score improvement, GMAT is basically an exam which is out of 800, right? 800 is the maximum score you can get. So basically, I had a 120 point improvement from my last score. And that was only because of focus, discipline, and lots of practice. So yeah, the will, there's a way. You just have to make sure that you plan well, you have a good strategy, practice a lot, and give it a shot. Be open to giving giving the test twice, or attempting it more than one time if you don't think you got the right target score for your for your university. Be open to that, and definitely things will go as you planned, and you will get into your target university.
Okay, I think yes, GMAT is going to take you. It's going to take a little bit of effort. It's not going to be that easy scoring 700 or 720 plus. If you are anyway targeting an Ivy League, 720 plus is usually people look for. But yes, GRE is a great option also if you are good with your verbal. GRE is something that you can definitely try, because that's again one of the perceptions out there in the market. If GRE quant is relatively easier than the GMAT, but again, it depends on university requirements. But yes, coming to the other exams that we have apart from GRE and GMAT, these are basically aptitude testing exams. We do also have to give English proficiency exam based on the countries and the visa perspectives. So did you guys also give any English proficiency exam on that note?
Niyati has
Yeah.
taken, right?
I have given my IELTS, International English Language Testing System. I've in fact given it twice because I've been to 2 abroad universities. The first time I gave it was before I went to Liverpool, UK, during my 3rd year. So I gave it then. It's out of, it tests you on reading, writing, listening, and speaking. So, and it's purely English. It's purely your communication. These are the 4 topics or areas it's going to test you on. And there are a lot of students that are giving it at the same time. When you're especially doing the speaking, it's going to be with, one of the IELTS, one of the English instructor. It's going to be more of a one-on-one session. There's also TOEFL, which is another alternative to IELTS, which you can give. Again, look at the university that you want to apply to, see their requirement. They may ask for either TOEFL or IELTS. I would say both are, nothing is very difficult. It's just that if you plan to give this anytime soon, you should start your preparation at least 1 to 2 months in advance. And even though you don't have plans to do it, but you do have plans to, study abroad someday, maybe a few years down the line, after you got, say, a couple of years of experience, I would still say get into the habit of reading daily. Be it articles, be it newspaper, blogs, just get into that habit, because that's something that will definitely help you. There will be a
Absolutely.
short time limit, right, for the
Yep.
exam, and you will have to make sure that you're able to summarize everything.
Mm.
And even when it comes to writing, you will be asked to write 2 essays, 1 or 2 essays for the exam. So focus on your writing skills as well. It's a great general skill as well, and it will always help you when you plan to take these tests for abroad colleges. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Just a good news for everyone out here. If you are planning to give TOEFL, Foreign Arbits is currently the national partners for ETS TOEFL. 2 days after, we are organizing an official TOEFL workshop for any aspirants who are planning to give TOEFL now or later. And there are tons of free giveaways that you can probably take help of, free study material, test preps, mock tests, and all those things. I've just given the link in the chat section. Go there, go to the TOEFL official India page and register yourself, because it's, I think, 150 member workshop, so seats could be limited there. But yeah, coming to the last and very important point here is scholarships. Okay, uh, you guys must have seen scholarships, because MBAs are costly. No matter we say it's there, but it does have a cost. When we're talking about cost, like MIT Sloan, $270,000, also Stanford, $200,000. Different B schools have a different range of fees, but somewhere it's been usually read as MBA means at least $50 to $100,000 would be going in. So how do people look for scholarships in these kinds of courses? Are there any possibilities of scholarship from your understanding, or else how do a person goes on funding themselves so that they are not burdened under immense amount of fees?
Yeah, Nikhil. So I would like to answer two parts of your question about how do you fund your MBA, and what sort of ROI we can expect, which is on everyone's mind typically. And then Niyati can explain further about the scholarships question that you asked, right? So MBA, it's a misconception actually that MBA is very expensive, because okay, of course, if you compare it to MS and all of that, it is expensive that way. But you should also see how much you're going to earn after doing your MBA. That being said, most of the people are able to recover their investment within 2 to 3 years. On an average, typically. And specifically, if I have to talk about the college wherein I studied, right, Singapore Management University. So I had paid about 30 lakh fees. And with that fees, I could have studied in, any of the colleges in, either ISB or SMU, NUS, NTU, which are again the top 50 B schools in the whole world, right? So in these terms, it's not very expensive. Once you start earning, especially if you're earning in an abroad currency like Singapore dollars, for example, within 1 to 2 years, you'll be able to pay back your loan. If you come back to India and you have to repay, depends on where you get absorbed. Can take a little longer, but yeah, that's there. Mostly people are able to recover their loans. So I think it should not be a question of it's very expensive, because this is an investment that we are making, and it's an investment in us. So if we invest in any FD, any mutual funds, that time also we see what the return is going to be. Right now, this is an investment in us to upgrade our skills, and it is up to us to make the maximum use of it in our post MBA career. And the value of this will remain with us for a very long time, till the time we are employed, right? We'll always be MBAs. So it's very important for us to get into a good branded college, like you talked about MIT Sloan or Harvard or other top colleges. Because if you study from INSEAD once, for example, then throughout your career, even though you would have paid a hefty amount in the year that you joined, but forever you will be recognized with the INSEAD brand, and that is what matters. This a couple of lakhs of rupees that we pay in this year are not really going to matter that much if you see, at the end of your life, if you have to reflect back. That being said, we have to be practical. Right, we cannot just say that it is not expensive. Of course it is expensive. You can actually buy a house in this much money in India, buy a car, settle down, start a life, start a decent life. You're making a trade-off, and it's a very informed decision that you have to make. You have to be very sure why you need to do an MBA. Why MBA right now? Why MBA and not any other course like MS or MIM or any other course that you mentioned? So if you have all these clarity and you still want to decide, still you decide to do an MBA, at that point in time, don't think about the cost, because you'll be able to recover it pretty soon. How do you go about funding it? So there are many different ways. Typically, these abroad universities require some work experience. So you might have savings from the previous work experience that you had prior to your MBA. Many people actually have those savings, and they take a part of their savings and use it to fund their MBA. The second part is, of course, borrowing. You can borrow from your friends, your family members, your parents, your spouse. Many people also do that. The third is you can take loans. So there are banks which offer loans. Typically, banks require collateral. Depending upon the amount of loan that you want to take, you should have either a property or a gold that you can put as collateral, so that in case you're not able to pay back the loan, the bank has a guarantee that it will take your property. It's like a mortgage. Uh, Also, banks require you also to put in some amount of money. Like suppose if you take a 20 lakhs loan, they'll say, okay, we'll give you a loan of 17 lakhs, but 3 lakhs you also have to put from your own pocket, because it's an incentive for them to understand how serious you are about your education. And that's why this is also important. The last thing is that there are these peer-to-peer lending platforms these days, on which you can also request for loans. There are also startups in which you can take loans. Some of the top universities do not, some of the top universities have collaborations with these organizations from which you can take the funding. But the good part about it is that you don't have to put any collateral, because you are going in such a good college, for example, Harvard or INSEAD or NUS. They are assured that eventually you will be able to find a job and pay back the loan. So sort of college takes that guarantee and gives you access to those platforms, and that is why you don't need to put in your property as a collateral, right, which I mentioned that banks typically do. So this is one of the good options for you to finance your MBA. That being said, it is very good if you are able to get some scholarship, because it will reduce the burden that you have to pay back the loan. Niyati will take the scholarships part, but before that, I also want to highlight that for me and Niyati both, the living cost in Singapore was also very high. It was about 1 lakh per month, and we stayed there for 12 months. So in addition to MBA, you also have to cover your living expenses. So both of us took 6 months of internship. And with that internship, we used to get stipend, which was in Singapore dollars, and it was enough for us to cover our whole living expense. So that was also one way in which we could, comfortably manage doing the MBA with the internship stipend, the living expenses part. Now, Niyati, over to you for the scholarships.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ishita, for that. And yeah, regarding scholarships, it's an important, decision also for the university, because they generally have limited scholarships. There are a lot of universities that have, different percentages, maybe like say 30%, 50%, or some of them actually cover the entire, tuition fees. So, whichever target school you're applying at, you should look at the scholarship opportunities that are available. Speaking about Singapore Management University, there were a lot of scholarship topics we had, where one was around women in business. So we had to write an essay. So if you want to apply for that, you need to write an essay and speak about, this topic and how you've, as a woman, grown or done something or contributed for other women. So something like that. There was also we had leadership potential. Then we also had academic excellence. Now that is purely based on your GMAT score. So if you have a score as high as 730 or plus out of 800, you have good chances of getting that scholarship. Then we had another scholarship for leadership potential and global exposure. So if you're somebody who's traveled for work or lived in different countries and you have a lot of learnings to contribute, whether it's volunteer work or whether it's your professional experience, then that's the, or if you've worked in a company that has had a lot of global impact, so that is also something that you can talk about for if you want to apply for the global exposure scholarship. Then there was also a community impact, so that is more on, you know, how much, what have you done for the society, and any kind of volunteer work, charity, NGO, non-profit organization, how have you contributed to the society. So these were some of the different buckets we had for scholarship. And and from our batch, in fact, about 30% of the students managed to get a scholarship. And one point to note is that whenever you go to an abroad university, it's because India is so heavily populated and Indians are spread all over, you will definitely see that there's a lot of competition even among scholarships, among Indians. So just keep that in mind. Make sure, you apply for the right scholarship. See how you can stand out, be it through academic excellence or your impact or your work experience or your global exposure. So make sure you kind of, keep that in mind. And yeah, apart from that, different universities have different criteria as well for the scholarship. So there's another university that I applied to and I did get through, but I eventually didn't end up going there. So they gave me a scholarship. So it's called SPGen's School of Global Management. So they gave me a scholarship beforehand, but it was a conditional scholarship that if at the end of the year my final GPA is about 3.8 or 3.9, then the scholarship will hold the percentage of scholarship. So yes, like I said, different colleges have different criteria, and you should understand that from the admissions committee, and really try your level best for it. There's a lot of competition, so don't keep your always hope, but don't be very overconfident, and don't lose your heart if you do not get the scholarship. That's completely fine. If you trust your skills and your experience and your decision really well, then you will definitely make up for the amount, and the time that you've invested, basically your opportunity costs. You will make up for it, as Ishita mentioned about the ROI, you will make up for it in 2 to 3 years of time. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. I think, yes, with the scholarships, one tip that I can give you, being a full funded scholar, my entire career journey, apply as early as possible. And just don't spend a lot of time in the scholarship where you don't fit in, okay, with the hope that you may fit in. Narrow down your scholarship searches and, figure out what kind of scholarships you're going to go for. And again, don't go to any university just because of the scholarship, because your overall journey will not be based on the let's say 50 or 60 or $70,000 that you may get in the scholarship. Okay, after that you might have to earn, and that's something your game plan has to be. A quick suggestion is, you can go to foreignadmits.com. There's a scholarship section, as you can see on top of me. Okay, and there are more than 6,000 scholarship listed, categorized in bachelor's, master's, and different month wise opening and closing. So you can definitely, it will help you to at least lower down the efforts and the time that you're spending to find out a great scholarship. Okay, let's come to the questions now. It's almost at the end of the webinar. So we have a couple of questions about career transition from core engineering to marketing or strategy. What kind of profile should I build? Having at least, let's say, 4 to 5 years of experience into core engineering sector, like power sector. Any suggestions, guys?
Yeah, so I can take that question. Coming from a mechanical engineering background and having worked in General Electric in the aviation business for 4 years, I eventually did not move to consulting, but I have seen a lot of people do that. So from that perspective, I can provide some guidance. If So there are two things. Now, next thing, you already have 4-5 years of work experience in core engineering. So the next thing you can do is do an MBA, and during your MBA, take up a relevant internship, and post that you take up a job in line with the consulting sector. We can go into that path. That is one of the options. The other option is that you don't want to do an MBA right now. You want to wait it out. What you can do in that case is that you can switch your company, uh, and then build your profile further. And when you feel that the time is right for an MBA, then do an MBA and subsequently launch your consulting career. In any of these options, I think I'll tell you two things. One thing is that things that you can do before joining your B school. So it always helps if you have a consulting sort of an experience. So if you're switching your company or you're taking up an internship, take it up in a consulting firm. Now, of course, McKinsey, Bain, or BCG will not hire you immediately if you're coming from a core engineering sector, and you have to make your way up till there. So you can transition to a smaller consulting company, like for example GS Associates can be one of the example, and from there work there for a couple of years. Or you can get into Accenture, any of these, Accenture, KPMG, these sort of companies, and then from there you would get valuable skills which are more translatable into the consulting environment, and you can subsequently get into your dream companies post MBA. That is one of the tips. The next thing that I wanted to share is what should you do once you are enrolled in an MBA program. So every B school has consulting clubs, and those consulting clubs have people who are every day they sit down in groups of 2 to 3 people, and they practice cases with each other. One of the people would be the person who is giving the case, the other one would be the who is the taking the case, and the third person is the observer. It's a typically 20 to 30 minutes discussion. The skills that are required are problem solving, analytical skills, communication skills, clarity of thought. There are guidebooks that every college has. Those guidebooks actually share experience of all the alums who have gone through their case preparation journey, and history of their interviews, how their interviews were in all these top consulting companies. So you get all of that as a consolidated package as a part of your consulting club. Make use of that, use it to study, use it to build your knowledge base, and keep taking notes. Once you do that, you are good to actually start applying in all these big consulting firms. You also need to ensure that your resume is so good that you will get a call. Even if you're applying in India, even if you're applying through campus placements, the biggest hurdle that people face is that how do I get my resume shortlisted, right? So one tip that I can give you here is that McKinsey, Bain, BCG, typically at least these consulting firms, they require you to have at least 2 to 3 highs in your career. For example, if I say from my perspective, so I had 2 patents that I filed, which is something rare that not all engineers have. Or if someone has a national level sports, if someone is a national level sports player or an international level sports player, that becomes another high. Consulting companies post MBA also want very good academics. So if your aim is to get into these top consulting companies, do focus on your academics, and the minimum CGPA that you have to have has to be 3.8 or above. Even in your undergrads, try to maintain good academic scores, because consulting companies, at least the top ones, also have academics as one of the criterias. So couple of 2 3 highs, 3 highs if you're able to show from your resume, and your resume is very impactful, action oriented, and you're able to show impact using action words for every line that you write in your resume. It should not be redundant. It should be every word that you put on the resume is very valuable, and it should tell something unique about you. For more tips, of course, you can connect with me. I'm Ishita Sehgal. You can connect with me on LinkedIn, and I'll be happy to share more. But for the interest of time, I think these are a couple of resume is very important to get shortlisted into consulting, and 2 3 highs is what is minimum if they have to consider you. So yeah, I think you should be very clear why you want to get into consulting, prepare for case interviews. I have seen many examples of engineers switching into consulting. It's a very natural switch because by going through all this engineering preparation phase, all of the engineers by and large have good analytical skills, which is one of the prerequisite for getting into consulting. The only other thing that they look for is communication and leadership skills. Through your MBA, you can show that you have that using different examples, and it's a very natural pathway for engineers to get into consulting. So definitely that path is open for you. Don't be afraid, just take the right steps and you should be able to crack it.
Okay, perfect. So I think one of the last question is someone, and I truly believe this is a very, very important question, because BSc guys, don't have an immediate job opportunities. BSc, BCA, and and certain other fields, they don't get easily job in India. Okay, so what do they have to do to develop the skills, according to you, to get into a proper job? Because biotech and all those kinds of fields, at least, they don't have easy job for the freshers. And the kind of jobs that we see in the engineering domain, you come from mechanical, you would relate, it's like, it's more like an internship stipend that people get at the early days. So how do they build profile, coming from an average college, to get into consulting, or at least to build the profile?
uh, yeah, sorry, you mentioned they are currently in which course?
BSc.
BSc.
BSc. I think the only thing that matters is that wherever you are, you should do the best there. Um, of course, I'm coming from, so let me tell my example, okay? I got into General Electric, and typically GE only takes engineers from IITs. Now, IITs is a very big brand, but I am from IGIT. IGIT is not, of course, not at all comparable to IITs. But what I did there was, when I was there, I excelled in my cohort. So similarly, when you are in your college, try to be different from all the BSc people, because all the BSc people will have similar skill sets on what is being taught in the classroom, and admissions committee or the future employers will look at all the BSc graduates in a similar way. Now, how you can stand out, that is what you should think. And definitely, if you enroll in any leadership activities, like you of course, like you do some volunteering, like I mentioned the example of my college fest, I was doing some leadership positions there. If you launch a club in your college, if you are the chair of some of the bodies in your college, things like that, they signal that you have good leadership capabilities. So these are some of the things that you can do. Try to excel in academics, because even for McKinsey Bay and BCG, it of course they would, if you are already an IITian and you're already from big brands, then it's easier, I won't deny that. But even if you are not, like I was not, so you should excel wherever you are, and eventually they notice that you are a like a big fish in a small pond, instead of being a small fish in a big pond. I've seen many people who are from top-notch colleges. They struggle a lot. They do a lot of hard work to get into those colleges. But once they get in there, they tend to chill and relax, and that drive is not there in them anymore. And I've seen many examples of people like this. Nothing wrong, it's their choice. But on the other hand, people who are not as privileged to get into big brands like maybe Harvard or IITs or things like that, those people are much more hardworking and driven and focused. And through their persistent efforts, if you see at the end of their life, many of them are able to succeed compared to people who get things on a platter. So I think that's what matters.
Okay, perfect. So for anyone to get into consulting, the regular piece of advice, I'll just rephrase what kind of relates to consulting in the first place, and trajectory, and then get into it. Okay, you don't expect yourself directly jumping into the consulting company, and the company is going to be, waiting to get you in. That's going to be really, kind of dream come true, and dream that way it's very difficult. So yeah, I think we come to the end of the webinar. It was a very, very exhaustive and very interesting webinar. Thanks to you guys. Without you, I don't think it was really, easy for us to pull this off. Amazing audience, I would say. We've seen great stickiness among the audience. So who have stayed there, and I hope you guys have gotten some kind of value from Nethi and Ishita. You can always reach out to them. Probably they can put up their LinkedIn on the chat, and you guys can connect to both of them. If at all you're still struggling and figuring out what you want to do, probably not just into MBA, but into research or management or any other allied fields, you can directly get in touch with me also. Happy to help you, happy to consult you on those notes, that what could be one of the areas that can help you to go across and just check that this could be something that would be a right fit field for you. Okay. So right now your target is to spend 30 seconds on the chat box. A lot of things going to come and already dropped in chatbot. As we discussed, there are a lot of value bombs that is given. Uh, One big value is Foreign Admits is the official partner and the only official partner to ETS in India. We are giving away free mock test, entire TOEFL preparation materials via email for free. And then if you're applying for TOEFL in anywhere, in this coming month or next, there's a test voucher that you can easily encash. Just go above. There are a lot of links that you can just go across, like bit.ly / learn minus TOEFL. Just get enrolled. Your preparations for TOEFL at least can be taken care of. If you are requiring scholarships, there are more than many number of scholarships that we have listed. So just go to the LinkedIn, connect to these amazing people, and start networking. Start building a network on LinkedIn. There are a bunch of videos that you can see on our channel on LinkedIn. I used to make a lot of LinkedIn videos, but yeah, so you can easily find it out on LinkedIn. Any questions, any last questions that we have, we'll be seconds. Okay, I think the crowd has been overwhelmed. A lot of information that has been passed away. Yeah. There's one question. I think I might have to see. Just let me check.
I think there's one question that was asked specifically to me about why I left Facebook and joined Grab. Yeah, so I'll just quickly answer that. So firstly, I had finished about 4 years of work experience at Facebook, and I already had the brand on my resume. Apart from that, I had amazing network, great skills that I learned, great learning experience. A lot of achievements professionally that I call out from those worked across 3 diverse teams. So and speaking about Grab was actually an internship. It was a requirement by our university in during when we went to SMU. So both Ishita and I were required to do a minimum of a 10-week internship, but we chose a longer 25-week internship at Grab, which is a leading Southeast Asian technology company, and Ishita chose to do it at Johnson & Johnson. We both did 6-month-long internships. So when I was in Facebook, I was in Hyderabad, and Grab was in Singapore. So there was a difference in location, and Grab was also an internship. So that's one thing. And I just want to just add my last, do not be very fixated on the brand value. Do not be fixated on, okay, I need a brand on my resume. While I understand that is very important, but it's a myth that, if you don't have a good brand, you're never going to excel in life, or you're never going to get a good position, or good or a good career path or a trajectory. That's not how it's going to be. Make sure that you always focus on the work you do. Wherever you go, there's no work that is small or big. It's not like that. It's at the end of the day, you are what you have learned. You are what the kind of relationships that you've made, the kind of the relationship that you've built, the network that you've made, the experiences that you've had, and that's going to be your journey. So everybody's journey is going to be different. I would say do not run behind a brand. Just run behind excellence, run behind building a good profile, and all those things will actually come to you. That's what I wanted to say. Yeah, and I wanted to wish you all good luck and lots of success. Feel free to reach out to us any point of time, and we are most happy to help. Do check out our website as well. Ishita, if you could just add the link on the chat. Check out our website as well, mbahacks.info, and we hope that we're able to help. Not just related to MBA, this could be any other question you have regarding your profile or regarding your job search, or in general, anything that you would like to chat with us about.
Yeah,
Sure,
thanks
guys.
everyone. All the best. It was very nice interacting with you. Thank you for sharing all these questions. We hope we were able to answer them. Thank you, Nikhil, for inviting us over. Very good experience for us. So thank you. Just wanted to say, as Niyati mentioned, brands are not everything. Of course, it does help, but wherever you are, just try to excel and your profile will automatically build. So if you have to remember just one thing from this whole information overload, just remember that excel wherever you are, keep exploring and keep that drive within you alive, and everything will happen then. Looking back, it's very easy to say that everything is very structured and our career is very well structured, but when we were going through it, definitely it was not like that. It was very chaotic, and we were also struggling to see what is the next thing we should do, and we are still in that phase, and that's how it is for everyone. So it's very natural, and I wish all the best to all of you.
Thank you, guys. You guys have been a great speakers for today.
Thank you.
Thanks, Nikhil.
On behalf of the Placement Cell Maitri College, I would like to thank Ms. Niyati Shah and Ms. Ishita Sehgal for such an insightful and informative session.
Thanks, Anisha.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Anisha.
everyone. Okay, bye-bye.
Bye, everyone.
Okay.